Money trauma is a deep-rooted emotional response to financial stress that often begins in childhood. If you grew up in a household where money was scarce, unstable, or used as a weapon, you likely internalized beliefs about scarcity and worth that still affect you today. Understanding the signs you were raised with money trauma is the first step toward healing your relationship with finances and yourself. One of the clearest signs is that you feel intense anxiety whenever you have to spend money, even on necessities. You might find yourself paralyzed at the grocery store, unable to buy items you actually need because you're overwhelmed by guilt or fear. This isn't just being frugal or careful with money. It's a visceral panic that makes you feel like you're doing something wrong by spending anything at all. Your nervous system goes into fight or flight mode over a simple purchase. Another major indicator is that you struggle with scarcity thinking. No matter how much money you actually have, it never feels like enough. You might earn a comfortable salary, yet you live in constant fear of losing everything. You catastrophize about hypothetical financial disasters and assume the worst will happen. This mindset makes it impossible to enjoy what you have because you're always bracing for poverty. People raised with money trauma often become extreme savers who hoard money without any real plan. You might have substantial savings that you're afraid to use for anything, even investments in your own growth or well-being. The money sits there, serving as a security blanket rather than a tool. You feel safer with it locked away, untouched, even though keeping it stagnant means you're losing purchasing power to inflation. You might also notice that you have deep shame around money and finances. You avoid talking about money with partners, friends, or professionals. The topic triggers immediate feelings of embarrassment, fear, or inadequacy. You'd rather struggle silently than ask for help or advice. This shame often prevents you from taking the steps necessary to improve your financial situation. Another sign is that you equate your self-worth with your net worth. When money is tight, you feel like a failure as a person. When you spend money, you feel guilty and undeserving. You might believe that poor people deserve their poverty, or conversely, that you don't deserve to have nice things. Your financial status becomes inseparable from your personal value. Money trauma survivors often experience what's called financial dissociation. You might not know how much money you have, avoid opening bills or statements, and feel completely disconnected from your actual financial reality. This avoidance creates a cycle where problems compound because you're not facing them. The anxiety of not knowing becomes easier to manage than the anxiety of confronting the truth. You might struggle with impulsive spending or self-sabotage. Despite your deep fear of poverty, you sometimes spend money recklessly on things you don't need. This happens because your nervous system is so dysregulated around money that you swing between extremes. You either hoard obsessively or spend compulsively, and there's rarely a balanced middle ground. Another pattern is that you feel unable to ask for raises, negotiate salaries, or charge fair prices for your work. You undervalue yourself professionally because you don't believe you deserve to earn good money. You might have been taught that wanting more money is greedy or selfish, so you sabotage your own earning potential. This keeps you stuck in a lower financial position than you're capable of achieving. People raised with money trauma often have difficulty receiving gifts or help. When someone offers to pay for dinner or gives you a gift, you feel uncomfortable and anxious. You might feel obligated to immediately reciprocate, or you experience guilt. Receiving feels unsafe because it creates a sense of indebtedness that triggers your trauma response. You might also use money as a way to control your environment or relationships. You either give money away excessively to earn love and approval, or you withhold money to maintain power. Money becomes a tool for managing your anxiety about relationships, rather than a neutral resource. This dynamic can damage your relationships and your financial stability. Another indicator is that you have no real financial goals or vision for your future. Money feels so overwhelming that you can't imagine planning ahead. You live paycheck to paycheck, even when you earn enough to save, or you avoid thinking about retirement, investments, or long-term security. The future feels too uncertain and scary to plan for. You might also notice that you become defensive or angry when others discuss money casually. Someone mentioning their vacation fund or investment returns triggers irritation or judgment in you. You might label people who have money as greedy or corrupt. This defensiveness is a trauma response that protects you from feeling your own pain and inadequacy. Money trauma often shows up as perfectionism in other areas of your life. Since money feels uncontrollable and chaotic, you try to control everything else obsessively. You might be extremely neat, overly organized, or perfectionistic about work. This false sense of control temporarily soothes your nervous system. You might also struggle with generosity. Even when you have enough, giving money away feels impossible. You might feel resentful when asked to contribute to group gifts or when family members need financial help. This isn't because you're a bad person. It's because sharing money feels like a threat to your own survival. Another sign is that you attract financial chaos into your life. You might have friends or partners who constantly borrow money from you, or you find yourself in financial emergencies repeatedly. Part of you is drawn to these situations because they feel familiar, like reenacting the financial instability you grew up with. You might also have very strong opinions about how other people should spend their money. You judge others for their financial choices, especially if they're different from your own. You might be critical of people who spend on luxuries while you deprive yourself. Or conversely, you might judge people who are responsible savers as boring or joyless. People raised with money trauma often experience physical symptoms when dealing with finances. You might feel nausea, headaches, or chest tightness when paying bills. Your body literally reacts with stress whenever money matters come up. These physical responses indicate that your nervous system is dysregulated around financial situations. You might also notice that you have no financial identity or confidence. You don't know how to budget, invest, or make financial decisions. Rather than learning these skills, you avoid them or hand them over completely to someone else. You feel helpless and dependent in financial matters. Another pattern is that you minimize your own needs and prioritize others' needs financially. You might sacrifice your own well-being to help others or avoid burdening anyone with your problems. This comes from feeling like your needs don't matter or that you don't deserve to have your needs met. You might also have a habit of self-sabotage when money improves. Every time you're about to reach a financial milestone, something goes wrong. You might subconsciously spend the money or create an emergency that drains your savings. Part of you doesn't feel safe having security because it feels unfamiliar. Money trauma survivors often experience intense envy toward people with financial stability. You might feel bitter or jealous when others have money or security. This envy is painful because it highlights what you feel you'll never have. It keeps you in a victim mentality rather than moving toward your own empowerment. You might also struggle with gratitude around money. Even when you have enough, you can't enjoy it because you're focused on what you don't have. Your brain is wired to scan for scarcity, so abundance feels invisible or unreal. This prevents you from ever feeling satisfied or secure. Another indicator is that you have no boundaries around money with family members. You might feel obligated to give money to relatives or feel guilty for having more than they do. Your family's financial problems feel like your responsibility. You might also notice that you have irrational fears about specific financial situations. You might fear that asking for a refund will result in humiliation, or that negotiating a price will cause conflict. These fears are disproportionate to the actual risk involved, but they feel completely real to you. People raised with money trauma often feel like frauds when they achieve financial success. You might feel like you don't deserve the money you have, or that you'll be exposed as not worthy of it. This imposter syndrome keeps you from fully claiming your achievements and building confidence. Recognizing these signs is crucial because once you see the pattern, you can begin to heal. Money trauma is real